This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced. Well, welcome to the show. Today we're going to talk about freedom fighters. There's an awful lot of us around. Now, call me one if you want to. I don't know. I'm more a commentator than a fighter, but we'll see what happens going forward. But there are a lot of groups, and a lot of groups have had a lot of time, blood, tears, and resources invested in their side of the argument. There are a lot of different arguments proffering a solution to the problems that we're currently facing, particularly when it comes to government, but in other sections of our lives as well. So today, I'm joined by a guy who is no stranger to those of us who did some politicking in the recent election. Darren Bergwerf is from Victoria, ran in the seat of Dunkley, joins us this afternoon. Darren, thanks for coming through. I really, really appreciate you coming on. I didn't get a chance during the campaign to catch up. You're a fairly busy bloke. Basically, on the back of the campaign, you ran "Politicians Don't Fix Things, Tradies Do." You were kept running pretty much flat out for the whole election period, weren't you? Oh, we seem to have a bit of a
democratic kind of election.
There you go. All good now.
Are you there, mate?
Yes, mate. Yeah, have a go. Looks like we're being bombarded already.
Hello?
Yes, mate, have a go. I can hear you fine. Okay, I thought I could hear you fine, and now you seem to have... No, now you've muted yourself or something. Very strange indeed. Here we go. G'day, Daniel. Hi, Kerry. Hi, Andrew. G'day, Aaron. Darren, let's see if we've got your microphone working again yet. It says here that your microphone's muted.
You still there, mate?
There you go. Now I can hear you. All right. So you're having a few troubles. I'm having a few trouble. Well, I'm not having any trouble. I don't know what's going on here anymore. Darren, why don't you just jump out? And yeah, you do got to love live streams. Are you having trouble hearing me still, or are you connected now, Darren? Don't think I can turn my microphone up any louder. Just stand by with us, folks, here for a second. Darren's got a great idea to bring everybody together along the Freedom Fighter campaign. I can hear him. I just don't think he's hearing us for some reason. And I have in the comments. Are you guys hearing me all right in the comments? Use sign language. Yeah, I've got a sign. Never been good with making it work, but yeah, all right. So Darren's dropped out. He might come back in again shortly. I was trying to send him a little bit of text. Thanks, White Dove. Yes, you can hear me. All right. So one or two issues seem to be going on with Darren. With a bit of luck, he will join us back here in a second. And here he is. We'll drop him back in. There we go. Let's see if that's got any better for us, mate.
Yeah, that's a bit better. I don't know what happened there. You just kind of dropped out.
Yeah, it went really strange right from the word go. You probably missed that really spectacularly bad intro that I fell all over on the way in about you. But I was being effervescent in my praise, and particularly of your slogan, "Politicians don't fix things, tradies do." Worked pretty well for you for the election. Unfortunately, it didn't get you a seat. But just give us a bit of background, mate, for the people who don't know where Dunkley is and where you are in Victoria and what you've been involved in the freedom movement so far.
Okay, so Dunkley is down on the Mornington Peninsula, just southeast of Melbourne. So Frankston is the kind of the heart of the Dunkley electorate. So I probably started this movement mid last year, culminated it with the union and a few rallies in Melbourne in September last year, and then just progressed through all the big rallies in Melbourne, ended up in Canberra in February. So I've been on this train. I joined A1 probably in November last year, became a supporter, then became a coordinator, and then a leader for A1 leading up to the election. Obviously, you're aware of what happened with A1, and I decided to put my hand up as an independent under the A1 banner and run for the people of Dunkley to be a representative for them and be a voice for the people, because there was no other option. They were all registered parties and corporations that we didn't have an independent candidate, so I put my hand up.
That's pretty much what A1 is all about. They're not looking for a party of people. They're looking for a group of individuals to stand up and take charge, I guess. And it's great to see that you were able to do it. I tried to get my my nominations here in time in, but didn't quite manage to make it. That entire process was just very difficult. I don't know if you found it extremely difficult to get your nomination in.
Yeah, it was. I spent my whole Easter, basically 4 days in a row, trying to get people. Now, I'm fortunate enough that last October I have a building that I own in Frankston, a commercial building, and I started a community in October for people that weren't allowed to go out, that didn't have a vaccination pass or anything like that. So I opened up my building for free for people to come along and socialise and BYO and just get together and mix. And I think the second Friday that we did that, we had over 300 people. So that community is now built up to 2,700 people on the Facebook page for my place. And so I had a head start there. I had the community behind me, and of course all the A1 people that came from other electorates close by where we didn't have a candidate. So I had plenty of signatories to get. It only took me the 4 days. I lodged my application on the Tuesday, 2 days early, and got accepted the same day. So it was a struggle. It took me 4 days, but yeah, I had the community behind me, so it made it a little bit easier.
You've had a lot to do with the freedom community, and one of the things that you've set about now trying to do is bring them all together. You found that there are a lot of different facets to freedom, I guess, as much as I have. It's been quite an eye-opening experience, and every other person seems to have the solution. So why don't you explain to us where you're coming from now with what you're trying to arrange going forward, so that maybe we can all start pulling in one direction?
Yeah, okay. Well, as everyone that's been part of this freedom movement's noticed that wherever we go, there always seems to be agendas and different groups and different egos. So it's never really been unified, and that was shown. It was up in lights on the 12th of February when we were divided by a 6-lane freeway up in Canberra. That tore the heart out of the whole freedom movement. Really, people had travelled from Fremantle 51 hours from all around Australia, and that Saturday afternoon. Between the two Parliament houses really put a dampener on the whole freedom movement, and I don't think it's recovered since then. At that point, I realised that my time was more important back in my community to grow awareness and get support rather than trudging up to Canberra every weekend. So that's what I did from that point onwards. But at the moment, there's a lot of. The Monday before the election, I went on a quest to find the true and legal writs for the election to make sure that I was taking part in a democratic and a legal election. To no avail, as the few videos that I've put out.
Just take us through that experience. How did you go with that, with the writs?
So someone that I've been working with for 6 months or so actually sent an email out to every single candidate that was running in the election and explained the fact there was a problem with the writs. And I was the only one out of 1,600 odd candidates that emailed him back the same day and said, what's going on with this? Is there something that I need to know? So he put me on the path to saying that this is what should be happening. So I set on the journey to go and discover these writs and find out why they're not available, which culminated in, well, that very first Monday, I basically claimed victory for the seat of Dunkley 5 days before the election, as being the only constitutional candidate in my electorate that was running. So I've claimed the seat, and we will be pursuing that down the track. And it was 3 or 4 days before finally, I actually served a summons to the to Nye Coffee and also Harry Papadopoulos, which is a divisional returning officer and the state manager for the AEC, on the Friday at lunchtime. Now, that was a notice into a VCAT hearing that was already running that we tagged on the back of, and that was the quickest way we could get them into a kind of hearing. Had the affidavit signed, and we lodged those, and that's coming up soon. Now, that night, lo and behold, 4 hours later or 5 hours later, all these state Senate writs started to turn up on the AEC website from all around the country. And the one for Victoria has been signed by Dan Andrews. It references the Queen of Australia. There's no seal on it. Other ones, like there's no two that are the same all around the country. So we're alleging that the election was unconstitutional, potentially fraudulent, and the writs are certainly not what they should be, and were never advertised as they should be under that Section 153 of our Constitution.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And people seem to not be complaining about it, or at least not complaining about it in enough numbers. I imagine every time you pull up at a job site, or you pull up to have a beer at the end of the day, you're talking to someone about this, like I am. But and some people just seem shocked. It's like, well, in fact, most people seem shocked. Why? Never even thought to ask of a writ. What's the writ? What's a seal on a writ? Nobody really knows what to even look for, and they've used that to such advantage against us, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, but it's just been a constant kind of dumbing down and not educating the public of anything that serves us. It's all to serve them. So they've kept us in the dark. They've deceived us for decades. And what I can say is that these Muppets, the country's waking up, and it's waking up at a rate of knots that's going to just roll over the top of them. And at the moment, we've got a lot of people all around the country talking about legal action, having issues with the election and the process, and people being told not to vote, how to vote, which is wrong. So there are so many things wrong with this election, and there's multiple people talking about legal action against the AEC. Now, what I'm trying to do at the moment is get in contact with all of those players and try and bring this all together as one action, rather than all of us getting picked off one by one. If we have a united front, we have all the information, all the evidence, and all the people talking about the best strategy to take this forward, then we're actually going to, not only will we have a better case, but we'll also have a lot more people. We need 1 million people or 2 million people following this court case as it.
Oh, everything's come to a grinding halt. Don't know what's going on again there, folks. It's getting a little weird. I'll just check my.
And I've lost you again.
Oh no, you're back. Oh no, you've dropped out completely. There you go. It's getting a bit interesting, isn't it? Certainly, this has been my finding with the freedom groups. There are two distinct groups that come out of Melbourne and New South Wales, particularly, that are branding themselves as, if you like, the OGs, the originals, and that's where a lot of the division seems to have come from. Great, we seem to have got you back, Darren.
Yeah, I think that's my fault. I think my phone rang. My phone rang and it cut me off.
You're an important man. They know which one to cut off. So yeah, it works out well. I was just saying, trying to draw the divisions together is going to be difficult. There are some deep divides between particularly the Victorian groups that travelled to Canberra and some other groups that were in Canberra, both from New South Wales based, if you like, and from further afield. Those divisions, to me, seem to be based a lot on ego, which is something we have to fight here, because ego isn't going to get us to the line. We have to have a community spirit if we're going to get where we're going in this fight, and if we're going to come through it as reasonable human beings. So trying to win this battle on who parked where on the lawn first and who stayed longest and who did what, to me, really is irrelevant at this stage. It's who's going to be there at the end for me. And I really like what you're trying to do, but it must be like trying to herd cats, bringing all of these groups together and making them feel like they've been heard. But at the end of the day, there can be really only one solution to this. So how are you trying to draw them together, all these disparate groups that have, in some cases, very different and quite radical ideas of what freedom is all about. Some would say that anarchy is what they're all about. But if you actually look up the proper definition of the word anarchy, you might be a little bit surprised about what that really means. And it may not be such a bad thing after all. So where do you go with all of this, mate?
Well, it is a challenge trying to herd cats when the other side only have to herd sheep. They're a lot easier to herd. But
Very well put.
But yeah, look, I think it is a fair bit of it is ego, but a lot of the stuff in Canberra was also controlled opposition. I mean, there's a lot of people there that are virtue signalling, pretending to be freedom fighters that really don't want to change the whole system of governance. They just want a bigger seat at the table or an extra seat at the table for their own ends, and there's a lot of that in it as well. So there's so many different levels of why the freedom movement's struggling, and some people are getting sucked into that vortex. And then realizing once they're in there that I'm on the wrong page kind of thing. But trying to get all the other people that are actually freedom fighters together is still a challenge, and I don't understand why. We've all got the same goal, and we need to get together. The only way this is going to work is if we get together. And like I said, this court case, as it grows, has to be played out in the court of public opinion as much as the Supreme Court or the High Court or wherever court we get to, because that's we need the people, we need the numbers. Now, we had 1.5 million in Canberra. I'm trying to get 1.5 million onto my Darren and then number 4 Dunkley .com webpage to show that we have the numbers. We need to have 1,000 juries as part of our campaign to put our case forward as well. So I'm looking for numbers, and it's really hard to get. Everyone's got their own kind of thing going, and I'm trying to bring everybody together from all around the country at the moment. I'm speaking to individuals personally, and look, they all agree with me when we speak on the phone, and we are getting a lot closer. Like, things are starting to happen now.
Yep. When you say you're getting 1,000 juries together,
Yep.
can you sort of expand on that for me a little bit? What do you mean by 1,000 juries?
Well, at the end of the day, we're being dragged into this kind of statutory court system that's not the law of the land, and we will be going back to common law at the once we get through this process and we get back control of this country. So I can only be judged by my peers, 12 of my peers, and not by a judge or anyone else. They don't have the authorities to judge anything that I do, and that's the law. The law that we are under and believe that we're under and following is actually is unlawful, and I'm on a quest to basically educate the public and my community that that's the case. And this is happening all around the country. People are being educated about what's going on and what the real laws are, and the fact that we have corporations have commandeered our country into a corporation government, instead of a parliament that we should be having under the Constitution. So there is so much deception in this country from our leaders, and the public need to be educated to that so that we do get the numbers.
So part of that education is understanding where our laws have come from. You're speaking there particularly about the illegality of the system, but the system is based on legislation. How lawful is that legislation?
Well, we believe that basically all legislation in this country is unlawful. And that's what we're trying to bring forth, and we have plenty of evidence for that. We have lots of people working on the brief at the moment, and we're going to have a very strong case, and we need to get the whole country behind us. Everybody needs to get on board with one vehicle and put all our stuff together and understand that we have a strong case in law, not in a fictitious law that everybody believes that we're under.
Okay, so this is where people are going to get confused. You've got a strong case in law, but you've just said the legal is bullshit. It's fake. Now, I understand what you're saying, but can you define the two for us, for those who aren't clear? How can you claim that the legislation is unlawful and then use the legislation that empowers a jury to work against it?
Because the jury goes back to our Constitution. The laws that are in there at the moment are done by corporations. So the government's a corporation, the police are a corporation, the courts are a corporation. So they're all corporations. And the fact that we go back to contract law, and I don't have a contract with any one of those corporations, so I'm not obliged to give them 1 cent, and they have no authority over me either. There's only under the real law, under the Constitution, only 12 of my peers can judge and cast judgment over me, not a corporation acting as a court or as a government entity.
An enforcement agency is all it is.
Correct.
So let's just say, snap of the fingers, overnight, something miraculous, or let's say in a very short period of time, over the course of a week or two, everything changes. People wake up, they understand what it is you and I are talking about, but it must be quite scary given what you've just outlined to them, because we've just said that all laws are illegal. Therefore, the police that are trying to enforce those laws themselves are illegal. They are a corporation. They're not police. They're not based on constables. They are corporate enforcers, and that's just the honest truth. We're not calling them names. So who do you go to try and get all this enforced? How do you change anything by waking people up here?
Well, I like to call them unlawful, not illegal. I use the term unlawful, which I've been kind of instructed to use that term more than the other one.
Cool.
Well, the people, at the end of the day, the people have the power, and once they realise that, I mean, these corporations are going to collapse on themselves once people realise that they don't have to pay anything anymore. And power and knowledge is power, and people power. Once we get together and we form these communities, and their support.
Don't know whether that's me freezing up at his end or him freezing up at my end. Don't know if you're still with us, folks. I hope it's all going well. We'll just have a bit of a look at some of your questions going back up here as I hope Darren comes back into us. My connection seems to still be working, so I'll go on pretending that it is doing same. Hello, Sue. Thanks for saying hi. Yes, Cliff, Magna Carta. We are going to get to talk to that. Melbourne Radio on Twitch restreaming this. Oh, very cool. Not interested in the UAP? No. Well, very good. You're not going to find many of us around here that are interested in the UAP either. In fact, we've probably got more questions for Clive than pats on the back, if that's the way you're viewing it. Yes, Kerry, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Phone must have rung again or something. Yes, that's probably exactly what happened, Mick. They certainly don't like some of the messages that he's trying to get out here at the moment. I must have had Aaron's message up on the screen now for bloody half an hour, so I do apologise. I'll put another one up there. Cliff wanted a Tinder date. We give him a bit of a quick flash up. So here's Darren back again.
Sorry, mate.
There we go. No, that's all right.
I how to use my phone so it doesn't ring and I'm not on airplane mode. I don't know how to do that just yet.
No, that's all right. That's cool. So where were we when we dropped out? We were talking about bringing the different groups together and how very difficult it is. You brought up the Constitution. Now, corporate tax law, corporate everything is geared in Australia to our Constitution. So tell me about our Constitution, can you?
Yeah, look, I do know a little bit. Like I'm really learning on the run at the moment, so I don't have the background that a lot of other people have got. But I mean, the Constitution is what most people in this country know that we have, and we need to kind of educate them to get back to that as our starting point. Now, everyone else, most people will also know that we have a Magna Carta that will be actually the original agreement that we'll probably end up with, along with a new constitution once we do a treaty with the original people of this land, which is all part of what's coming up in a not too distant future. But in the short term, we've got to get over the first hurdle. And to me, the first hurdle is waking up to the public to the fact that these governments and corporations are unlawful to the constitution that we know that we have. That's written. It's there. It's a contract between the Crown and we the people, and no contract can be changed without both signatories. And these people that have railroaded us and commandeered our constitution and turned us into a corporation have done so with our blessing, basically, because we have been unaware, we've been naive, we've been deceived, all of those, and now they're ruling us instead of governing for us. So the constitution is our way out of this in the short term.
I think you left out one word. We've been lazy. We've let those who wanted to go and work in Parliament, because let's be honest, if you've grown up in Australia, Canberra has never been made an attractive place or a place one would aspire to go and live and work at unless you wanted to work in the bureaucracy. And having worked in Canberra once for about 8 months, the place just ejected me. We didn't get along very well. I can tell you that it is just full of bureaucrats and career politicians or career political assistants. I'll keep talking about it. So Canberra itself, I think, only just attracts those kinds of people that really are there more to serve themselves or the party, and that's where we have to get away from parties in Canberra, folks. We've got to get independence into Canberra, turn it into a lovely place for families to go and live, not just where university graduates go to freeze their ass off while they learn how to be politicians for a while. Canberra has potential to be a great place. We need to be able to bring a solution about through all of these groups that Darren's talking about. And Darren, constitutions, Magna Cartas, you say we go back to the original. There is a lot of dissension about what is the original, what isn't the original Magna Carta. I, of course, am a proponent of Magna Carta 1215. Others are 1297. And therein lies a large schism. And yet so many similarities in the way that the problems are approached. You talk about juries, I talk about trial by jury, as opposed to a jury trial, which is something that happens under the law of the sea, which is what we are currently living under, maritime law. Now, law of the land and under natural law, trial by jury, there is no judge, there is no lawyers, and the courts are free. So this then puts the power back into the people, who really only have to make sure they abide by the 4 tenets, which are essentially involve or incorporate all of the 10 commandments. So I believe that's the starting point. But then there are those that come out and say, King John signed it under duress. Well, no, he was given an opportunity, bearing in mind that he was elected to the position by the barons. He was given an opportunity to not sign the document at all. They would just replace him with a king that would. But that was how things were done back in the day. You've got to understand this is, very, very early on when there were still feudal kings, so to speak, in England. It was an empire, but it was a feudal empire. So the duress argument doesn't work, nor does the rewrite of Magna Carta 1297 for me, but a lot of people believe that to be the case for whatever reason. I'm looking forward to having that debate, not with you so much, but with others that really pushed that solution. Because until we sort out which Magna Carta we're going to be working off here, you're going to still have a very divided camp, because half of the camp is going to say, well, your argument's not going to work for this reason. It's based on the wrong Magna Carta. And it doesn't matter which side of the Magna Carta fence you're on, you'll think the other one is wrong. So how do you bring that divide together?
Oh, look, that's a really contentious issue, and I think it's a long way down the track. That argument or that conversation is probably I'm not really interested in that right at the minute because we've got, like I said, that could be the third or fourth hurdle. Right now, I think we've got to get over the first one, and that's dismantling the corporations and getting control back under the constitution that we have there. To start with, I think the conversations with people that have a lot more knowledge about that kind of stuff than what I have can happen down the track. But our starting point is really to expose the corporations as being unlawful. And all the rules and the taxes and that they've implemented and put onto us are also unlawful. And as soon as we can educate the people about that, that's going to be the quickest way to dismantle the system we're in.
So then I'm back to who's going to enforce that? Because we all know, certain things have happened that shouldn't have happened. We all know that the media have ignored it, have failed to report on it, failed to investigate it, and in fact blown bullshit stories over trying to cover for it. So how do we enforce it? Given that we do get to a point of if you like, mass knowledge, what is the tipping point? 51%? I don't know. That's a civil war kind of tipping point. 51%. So
we need 70% plus, I believe. And look, there are people there. We know that there's people in all aspects of our society, whether it be nurses. There's also some things set up at the moment, which I'm spending a lot of time on at the moment, and that's the Australia Project. So there are parallel systems of governance and of living actually in the pipeline and being set up at the moment that we can transition across to very, very soon. There'll be banking platforms and education platforms that are already up and running in New South Wales. There's 2 schools already open. So it comes back to this is going to be a ground up solution. The people will solve the problems. Not the politicians, and it's not a top-down thing. So I think communities coming back together, we will have the solutions for the problems. There are plenty of police and plenty of soldiers and plenty of people throughout the whole community that are going to realise and they'll be on board once they understand that how they've been deceived.
Yep, I agree. I think a lot of people will wake up to it, but we also get back to the point I mentioned earlier about Australians are a pretty lazy mob. If they don't have to think about something, if somebody else will think about it or do it for them, then, well, I'm pretty okay with that. That's all right. I'll just go to the beach. I'll go for a surf. I'll go for a fish. I'll go for a swim. I'll, go and, if you're living in the southern states, I'll go and throw another log on the bloody fire and try and get warm. So, we're an apathetic mob, I think is what I'm trying to say. How do we motivate it? I mean, people at the moment don't believe freedom is threatened. So, I mean, what
we've
more
got
do they
we've got Dan Andrews is motivating a lot of people over the last 2 years.
Yeah,
so we have people.
I thought he'd motivated enough people in the 4 or 5 years before that, but clearly not, because Victoria elected him again. Or do you suspect the quality of the elections there as well?
I don't think we have elections, to be honest. I think most people that are awake now realise that we don't have elections. And look, what's coming, the shutdowns that are going to come, everyone's going to be locked down again soon. They're going to carry on about a new Omicron variant or a monkeypox, or there'll be some reason why they're going to lock us down and close more small businesses and cause more mental anguish and suicides. So the people, and not only that, but the people actually starting to live these vaccine injuries and deaths at the moment as well. So this was a topic that I didn't want to touch in the campaign because it was very contentious. Towards the end of the campaign, everybody on the polling booths were talking about it, even the people who are vaccinated. So this topic is now on the table. These people are starting to realise that they've been deceived, that they're potentially done damage to themselves, and they're seeing the injuries. And that's only going to become more prevalent over the next 3 or 4 months. So the awakening is going to speed up. By November, December this year, I think you're going to see a massive change. Probably before that, you'll see a massive change in people waking up and not being so lazy anymore.
Yep. Very good question or a statement put up by Chris here. The jabbed are in denial and can't accept that they might have made a mistake. Now, that is, I think, a very real problem we're all going to have to face and has to be part of the unified approach that we're trying to bring together here. Do you have any thoughts on how we approach that little dilemma?
Yeah, well, I'm inviting them. When I started this place, my place at Frankston, it was all about pro-choice and people that weren't vaccinated to come where they could actually go out and have and enjoy themselves. Now it's actually a health and wellbeing hub. So we understand that these people are going to need answers. They're going to need mental health help. They're going to need physical health, and so we're going to welcome these people that are ready to hear and ready to research and try and reverse what they've done or what they've had done to them. We're here to help them and welcome them with open arms. I do think they're in denial in public when we talk to them. They're in denial. But when they're on their own, I do think that they are starting to realise on a greater level that we are right. They just don't want to admit it to us at the moment. But the longer they leave it, the less chance they've got of actually reversing any damage or trying to fix the problem to whatever extent they can fix the problem. But we're here to help them and to bring them back in and not to ridicule them, but to make them part of the solution. And we need them on our side.
Oh, absolutely. We need them on our side. Is there any way short of a mass red pill event to bring them, more of them, onto our side of the fence?
We're working on it every day. We're organising leaflets to do letterbox drops again to educate people and bring them into the fold. But I think it's not going to be one mass red pill event that I can see that's going to change things. It's going to be injuries to their family members. It's going to be just all these little seeds that we've been sowing for the last 8 months. Every time we get a chance in conversations in groups that will culminate in them realising that they will be red pilled at some stage. But it's not going to be one event that's going to do it.
I'm fairly concerned that over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, people are going to forget about the conversations that we're having now and that we've been having now for the last 12 months or even 2 years in some cases for other people. I'm concerned that the mainstream media are going to keep putting out all the misinformation and blaming everything on the unjabbed, if you like. And people are just going to forget how this was pushed on us, and the erosion of our freedoms will be, death by 1,000 paper cuts. I saw one of the comments put up earlier by Sue, I think it was, who said people love their lifestyles. Well, I wonder whether or not, particularly in Queensland's case, where Queenslanders, particularly on the coastal edge, have 3 things: a 4-bedroom house, a couple of kids, a boat, and 2 cars. And they like going to the ocean, or they like going to a river, or they like going to a dam and going fishing or skiing or carrying on, whatever you do. Boats are a big thing up here in Queensland. So what happens when somebody comes along and says in government, well, you can't use your boat anymore because it's bad for the environment? And unless it's an electric boat or a sailboat, and even then you're going to be restricted to going into these areas because, we don't want you sinking your boat, crushing a bit of coral somewhere if it happens. So is that when people are going to start waking up?
Well, once again, that's a very a red pill here, a red pill there. It's not one thing, and that's been the whole problem for the last 3, 4, 5 decades. Is that we've been like that frog in a pot.
Yeah.
But they've turned the heat up so quickly in the last 2 years that everyone's jumping out. And to me, Queensland's at the forefront of the rebellion. And they've always been more Australian, as I put it, than any other state, because they're old fashioned. All the people from Victoria move up there. All the original, or not the original, but the European Australians that have been here and grown up here all their life, and they know what it was like in the 70s and the 80s and how good this country was and the potential that this country had and what it should be right now. A lot of the newer Australians aren't aware. They don't have the same patriotism. So I think Queensland street's ahead of the rest of the country already. So they're doing quite well, but they're going to keep doing this death by 1,000 cuts so that people don't, okay, we've lost that, but it's not really affecting my day-to-day life that much. But I think people are starting to see through it now. They're starting to see through the fake news. They're starting to see the stuff on their iPhones that there's 1.5 million people in Canberra, and the media are saying that there's 20,000. So those examples are coming up every day, and people are really starting to wake up to the whole scam that it is.
Okay, so really, really keen to try and help you get the numbers that you need to your website. So do you want to give it to people again and just explain again briefly?
Yeah,
it's those joined us late.
Darren4dunkley.com. That's number 4. And we'll send you a return email, and then you've just got to confirm that when you get the email from us, so you can subscribe.
That's excellent. Darren4dunkley.com.
Yep.
And subscribe and confirm the email, the menu, Our Journey for Justice page. That's great, mate. Awesome stuff.
So all the we're putting up information on there, all the videos that I've been doing. We're doing updates on that page. There's all the writs are available on that page, and people can download them and look at the different writs from around the country. Yeah, so we're just trying to build a team at the moment and get us into a position where we have big numbers where we can actually start to move forward.
I really look forward to being able to help to push a few people your way, mate, and maybe we'll make this a bit of a regular catch-up. I'd like to be involved. You know, there has to be a place for us all, and I don't for one moment suggest that Magna Carta 1215 is the only solution. I think there are parts of that. There are parts of many different solutions that are being proffered, which will actually form part, if not the whole, of the real solution in the end. But we all have to get together, have a seat at that table, and find a way forward. So I really look forward, mate. Maybe next time I can bring Fitzroy Sterling along for you know, a bit of a deeper look at 1215, and maybe you can bring someone along from your side that might have a bit more deeper understanding of the constitutional and Magna Carta 1297 arguments, and let's just see where the conversation goes. I'd be very keen.
Oh, look, I'd be rapt to do that too, mate. And just one thing, I watched a Dave O'Neill's video today where he's just kind of lost his shit. Look, everyone up there, anywhere that's around Dave, get behind him and back him. The man's doing wonderful things for the community and trying to help flood victims, and he's being trolled. And these trolls aren't they're not just everyday people that are trolling him. This is coming from higher up, and they're doing everything they can to stop communities getting together. And this guy and Brisbane Yamaha that donate, you know, we're going to donate pretty much a whole boat to help go and feed the stock that are stranded and rescue people out of the flood zones. The man's at his wit's end, and he needs everybody's support. So if everyone can back him up there in northern New South Wales, that'd be really good, because we've all got to support each other. They're going to come after us one by one. At the moment, he's getting attacked, and he needs everyone's support. So a big shout out to Dave, and keep working, mate. We're all behind you.
Mate, yeah, I'll try and get in touch with Dave, see if I can't help him a little bit from my end too. So we've got to, everybody's got to be held up here at the moment. It's all been a bit of a battle. Mind you, it is also showing the true colours of some people as well, I'm finding. So I'm finding this whole process very enlightening. Just to sit back and keep an eye on what's going on. So I've enjoyed the chat today, Darren, really have. It's been a great pleasure to have you on, and I hope we will have you back on again very soon. Do you want to hold your sign up again one more time?
Yeah, mate. That's Darren, number 4dunkley.com, and roll down to the bottom of the page, subscribe, and then we'll send you an email which you need to confirm your subscription, and then we have our Journey for Justice page on that site. So yeah, get on board, and thanks to all your viewers, Carl, and thanks for your time to get this message out for me. It's been really good, and just everyone in Australia, really, everyone has a role to play in this, no matter how insignificant or significant, and that is spreading the word in your local neighbourhoods, having those conversations, putting your reputation on the line to be called a crazy tinfoil hat wearer, whatever it is that's going to come your way. But we all have a role, and the more we do, the quicker this happens.
Yep, absolutely, mate. Thank you very much. We were talking yesterday while we were setting this up. You had a couple of questions you wanted for Ricardo Bosey. I'm talking to him in about, well, an hour and a bit, 7:30 tonight. I've got him on, or scheduled to come on. It's not been confirmed yet, so let me see if I can cut out a question for you and play it for him a bit later on in the intervening time. Have you got something you want to ask him?
Oh yeah, I've been trying to chase Ricardo for the last week and a half, and I believe he's been. I was talking to Lance Brown from TAP the other day, and I believe he's been sick, and Rhiannon's been sick. So, but yeah, Ricardo, if you can give me a call, mate, I really need to chat to you about something very important. I look forward to hearing from you tomorrow.
Beautiful. All right, mate. Well, you have a great evening. Thanks very much for coming on and joining us here at the Voice of Freedom.
Yep, you too. Thanks, Carl. I appreciate it.